This is Sky Sports.
The world capital of speed becomes a hotbed of horsepower. It's 7,200 pounds of big block racing muscle pulling the weight of a three-bedroom house. It's NTPA action from the Indy Super Bowl coming up next. This is Trucks and Tractor Power, featuring the All-Stars of the National Tractor Pullers Association. Welcome to Trucks and Tractor Power on the Nashville Network. Today we feature the Indy Super Pull, the best of the NTPA tractor pulling. Hi everybody, I'm Gary Lee and we're in my hometown of Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm seated in the Fairgrounds Coliseum. Now if this 52-year-old building could only talk, what great stories it could tell. Right now it's the home of the Indianapolis Ice of the International Hockey League. But I said about right here many years ago when the Indiana Pacers won one of 3 ABA championships. And very soon today, these seats will fill up and this quiet will be shattered by perhaps the most powerful vehicle in all of motorsports, the 7,200-pound multi-engine tractors. And with more on that, here's my colleague, Army Armstrong.
Gary Lee, you are exactly right. And not only are these the most powerful vehicles we've ever had a chance to work with, they got to be the loudest, and everybody around here is waiting to hear that noise. They want to hear that rumble. Why? Because this is the first big event of the year, and cabin fever is running rampant. These drivers have had about 2 months off. They've been thinking, trying to figure out how to get the horsepower to work. Who's going to be the big guy when we roll into Indianapolis? We're going to be finding that out today. A bunch of new drivers trying to make a name for themselves on television in the first big event of the year. Who's going to make the big noise in Indy? Stay tuned. We're going to be finding that out next.
Army Armstrong, there is standard issue here at the Fairgrounds Coliseum, Indiana State Fairgrounds. We're in Indianapolis for the Indy Super Bowl. Tonight, it is 7,200-pound modified action.
And Gary, this is one of the most popular classes in this sport. You know, this is a unique motorsport because the classes are determined solely by weight. What we're looking at here is an engine combination of 4 engines, 2 of them running crank to crank, 2 of them side by side. The 72 modified are going to be going on a 230-foot class, and they're going to be pulling a sled that weighs 50,000 pounds. That's about the weight of a 3-bedroom home.
But once again, it's the weight. The tractor cannot weigh more than 7,200 pounds, as many engines, as much horsepower as possible. And now hooking up to that sled is Dave Carlton, the Virginia farmer out of Little Plymouth, Virginia, and he is sporting 4 Rodex. Can you imagine the horsepower being developed here? But once again, as much as you possibly can develop, because it's the weight of the tractor, it cannot go over 7,200 pounds.
Gary, there's another weight involved, that being the sled. It weighs 50,000 pounds and progressively gets heavier as it goes down the track. Now, the Diamond P onboard camera is going to let you actually take a ride, and you can see the driver working that steering wheel back and forth. It's a war for 230 feet indoors, isn't it, Gary?
And that sled cam puts you right in the trenches of that war. There's the distance, 2:10.7 for Dave Carlton, the Virginia farmer, as we take a look at the run again.
Now, this is a unique sport because the further you go, the tougher it is on equipment. He's got one engine already going away. He's got a timing problem on the engine on the right. But at the very end of the run, in the last 2 or 3 feet, I want you to watch the front motor. It goes away on him right there. He flew a Supercharger. Yeah, exactly. So the last 6 inches was just muscled by 2 engines, not 4.
And here's a look at Wild Rose. This is Ricky Rose, and once again, he is sporting 4 Rodex engines. Look at him pump the brakes there, Army.
Well, the reason he does that, as you well know, once you get the front end off the ground, the steering wheel is basically useless. Ricky is trying to load the chassis, if you will, to get ready to make his run. Now, the distance to beat is 2:10.7. Basically, he has the same engine horsepower as the man in front of him. They're set up different. There we go. The steering is actually no good at this point in time. He's actually steering the vehicle with his feet, with brakes. Lays down a good run, Gary.
4 Rodex, total value about $120,000, 2:04.5. The distance for Ricky Rose, once again from the sled cam. Here's how it looks. Now watch, he can steer it with the wheel until the front end gets airborne. Then he has to use the brakes.
Okay, at this time, he's like walking on ice. He's tippy-toeing. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, and it's going straight down the track. I say straight. Not exactly straight, is it, Gary?
He's between the white lines. That's what counts.
That's what counts, exactly.
All right, here's a lady who has a lot of home state support because she is from Fort Wayne, Indiana, in the northern portion of the state, and this is Judy Nipstein. She is sporting 4 Chevrolets out of Fort Wayne, Indiana.
You know, it's kind of unique to see a young, petite lady involved in this sport, but she is definitely a player. I had a chance to see her the first time she drove a modified tractor about 2 or 3 years ago. A lot of people says, I don't know. She has made a believer out of every one of them. It's a family ordeal. Her daughter on the right, husband on the left, and here she goes. Oh, wheels up run. Looks good, Gary.
Yes, she does. She takes it out of here. There is Lynn, her husband and crew chief, her daughter Jody. They're ecstatic. Our first full pull of the evening here at the State Fairgrounds Coliseum in Indianapolis.
And Gary, that changes the complexity of the whole sport because no longer can one run win it.
Well, Judy is king of the hill right now, and she has to endure 8 more pulls. It may be a long evening. She has the front end up in the air under the horsepower, using the brake to steer it. But she has the full pull, 230 feet, and she's standing by with Army Armstrong.
She came over and said, I'm so happy. I think actions speak louder than words. We can tell you're happy. We can also tell you've turned these guys around here. It's going to be tough to beat you tonight.
I hope it is tough to beat.
A lot of hard work. It's got to make you feel super.
Yeah, we feel great because we have been working very hard, especially my husband. He's been really wrenching hard to get it just right.
Well, he did his...
Just right, I think.
He did his job and you did yours. Let's see if you can stay there.
Yeah, I hope it's a good combination. Thanks.
Well, you still have 8 guys. That's guys yet to pull, and one is the Hartwick Raider. Coming up next, this is Dwayne Hodling out of Hartwick, New York. He once again sporting 4 Chevrolets, but now they have something to shoot for. The standard has been set, Army.
Well, the standard's been set. They have to shoot for it. If you don't make a full pull, then you go on a trailer. The young lady wins. She's throwing the gauntlet down. We got to see if somebody's going to pick it up. 4 engines, about 1,500 horsepower apiece. He's going after her.
He's going to fall short, though, well short. So once again, you can see the weight across the front bar of the tractor. It's a case of checking out the track, 210.7, and that's the same distance that we had by our first pull of Dave Carlton. So we've had 2 identical pulls as we take a ride with the sled cam.
What's so unique about this sport? Just because of the massive horsepower, it's hard to believe it is actually a sport of finesse, of balance. You got to get the proper weight on your vehicle, the weight's coming up on the sled. It's almost like a ballerina ice skate.
Well, it's still a case of reading the racetrack, as we see in so many types of motorsports. Midgets, sprints,
Exactly.
motorcycles, you have to read the track.
5 counts put you out of the ballpark in a heartbeat.
Well, we connect the sled now to Woody Woodward in the Super Chevy tractor. Once again, this is the 7,200-pound modified class, 230 feet, representing a full pull. Only one person has done it, Judy Nipstein from Fort Wayne, Indiana. You can just feel this entire building shake and rock as they apply the throttle, and he almost goes out of bounds.
It's a
Just shy.
Definitely a rolling thunder show. The torque of the engines was turning the chassis. You notice the left front wheel was just picking it up and tippy-toeing down the track. He had his weight, I would say, just about perfect. The replay should show you. Watch the front wheel on the right of your screen now. It should pull up. The other one, there you see, perfect balance. And he only has 3 little weights on the front.
Army, look at this shot right here. He comes very close to getting disqualified by going out of bounds.
You're exactly right, Gary. Like in any sport, out of bounds is determined by the white line. Now, the dirt deflector did go out of bounds, but in this sport, the tractor or the sled has to go out. So he made a clean run.
It was a good run, but not long enough. It's going to take a full pull to go into a pull-off, because Judy Nipstein out of Fort Wayne, Indiana has the full pull. Woody Woodward is second, and Dwayne Hodling is now third in the Hartwick Raider. As we take a look at empty pockets, and this is Dan Gertie firing up his Hemis. His pull's coming up next. Stay with us. The Indiana Super Pull continues from the State Fairgrounds Coliseum here in Indianapolis, and as you indicated earlier, Army, this is one of the noisiest motorsports of all, and we're indoors to boot. Young lady and a young guy protecting the ears right there as we're looking at 3 Hemis. I love the name of this tractor. That's what you have when you're involved in motorsports. Empty pockets.
I agree with you. You're going to be, we're talking about sound, you're going to hear a different sound now. We've been listening to the sound of Chevrolet and Rodak engines. They all sound their their own decibel level. Now you're going to roll into the Chrysler horsepower. That has a different kind of horsepower sound to it, more of a deep rumble. Plus, this guy's going to go after that young lady with only 3 engines.
Well, there's Alvin. There's his brother, his crew chief, but Dan Gertie, oh, he has a good run going. Can he do it?
The weight box topped out right at the end. Gary, is going to be close.
Let's wait for the official word. There it is.
Yeah.
It is a full pull. That means we'll have a pull-off here at the Indiana State Fairgrounds.
Boy, he was just muscling a horsepower. We're going back on board with him. Picks the front end up. For all intents and purposes, the steering wheel, he can throw it out at this point. He's steering with the feet. See the feet out of the water, up and going. A good straight run, Gary Lee. He almost made it look easy.
Army, I think it's interesting how much we can see from that sled cam. We can see some moisture in the track that helps hold the track together, give these guys some traction. As we look at Bob Jostock, he is getting staged. Let's go back trackside now with Dan Gertie after his full pull.
Dan, you know you're going to a pull-off against this young lady. She made a great run. You made a great run, but you had a lot of smoke in the front motor on the right side at the end. Does that affect you at all?
I don't know. I have to go check it out real quick.
Other than that, though, everything's looking good?
Looks good.
We'll see you in the pull-off.
We'll be back.
That could be some very expensive smoke when it comes to tractor pulling. All right, Bob Jostock is up next. He's out of Lapeer, Michigan. He drives a tractor he calls Wild Child, featuring 4 Chevrolet engines.
You notice these drivers that are coming up, Gary, they're from different parts of the country. Well, the Indy Super Bowl, you actually have to qualify for it through the NTPA point system. And that's why these people are literally coming from all over America to run this event. That adds to the prestige of the Indy Super Bowl.
Well, he won't be too happy with that, Army, at 2:02.11. Not a very good pull for Bob. Let's take a look again. You can see the weight that he has hanging on the front of the tractor. Now, once again, it's a judgment call. They read the track, try to redistribute the weight, and obviously the weight was just not right for Bob.
It's a balancing game at best.
And Army, when you talk about the different sounds that these engines make, how about this combination right here?
Man, this is a sound that anybody who's in Korea or the Second World War, they know what Richard Ziegler has for horsepower. 1,712 cubic inches times 2 on alcohol, fat motor. Look at the flames coming out. Now, when he starts his runs, those flames will disappear.
These are Allison engines.
Yeah,
Allison
aircraft engines.
They call it the P-38 tractor. Let's see if he can fly out of here. Well, he spins the tires. Oh, develops some flames and a 2:01.10. Not a very good run.
The motor's really fattened up when they got down to the end.
From Allison aircraft engines back to Chevrolets. And this is Joe Eder as they are firing up Chevy Thunder. But right now, let's go back trackside, and I think that Richard Ziegler is down there with Army Armstrong.
Richard, when you finish a run like that, those engines are so historic and everything, and so many people like them because they belch that awful flame out of there. What causes that?
It's excess fuel that's just sitting in the exhaust pipes when you back out of the throttle.
So it's not hurting the engine at all, it just kind of looks neat.
No, it's actually good for the motor to have the fuel in it so it starts to cool down again because they're running on methanol.
I'll look once again at Joe Eder out of North Collins, New York, in Chevy Thunder. Once again, 4 Chevrolet engines, and these things cost, what, about $20,000, $25,000 a piece?
Yeah, that's including the supercharger, the blower belts, and drives, and all that stuff. Yeah, you're talking a good $25,000 a pop here. $100,000 worth of engines. Let's see if it's going to work. He may have missed the weight, Gary.
Well, Army, I noticed he only has one weight on the far left-hand side of the front of that tractor, and he pulled it well up in the air about mid-range, and a very short run for Joe Eder.
So, in layman's terms or in sports terms, he did, in fact, miss the weight. If he had more weight on the front, he could have held the front end down, maybe kept it a little bit straighter. A little bit wiser after that run.
How many times has a driver said, if I could only have that run over again? Well, doesn't happen here. Oh, look at this exotic contraption here.
Now, this guy runs the Allison engines with twin turbos. Wayne Longnecker is going to come out, and he will flat drill you to the wall. He puts more abuse on these engines than anybody I've seen, and they've got such a unique sound.
Allison aircraft engines, twin turbocharged. Well, let's watch it. We have that characteristic belch of flames at the end of the run. He's going to fall well short. And there it is. Now, they just turned the lights down here in the Coliseum and let that thing flame out like that.
Everybody in the grandstand knows what to look for when the Allisons finish up.
Looks like a turbine.
But yeah, it's the same principle as the turbine. The guys, you know, turbines have been in this sport for many, many years. These guys have been playing, making a whole lot of horsepower with them. But like they say, that Allison's run so much fuel through, just keep burning.
Well, our final puller should be Robert Dabrowski, and there they are hooking up the sled right now to Stinger. And Robert Dabrowski also will be sporting 2 Allisons. He's out of Marlborough, New Hampshire.
And he runs a side-mounted Allisons. Again, now his motors are fat. The flames will go away when he puts them under load, right? See, he's using the fuel in the engine now. All that fuel's flowing through. 1,710 cubic inches is flowing through. But when it stops, the fuel keeps flowing. Let's see if we get flames again. Yeah.
We have the flames, but we have a short, well, only by a few inches, though, 23.6. So we'll end up with 2 in a pull-off as we take a look once again at Robert Dabrowski and Stinger with the 2 Allisons.
So the side-by-side setup seemed to work for the Allisons. They're making a good horsepower, but it came down to only 2, the girls against the guys, when we go to the final pull-off, Gary.
Army, you're right. We've had 2 full pulls in this sport. That dictates a pull-off. So Judy Nipstein from Fort Wayne, Indiana, in the Kelly Chevrolet Special goes up against Albion, Indiana's Daniel Gertie in Empty Pockets. We are ready for the pull-off. It's the Indy Super Pull, and we have a pull-off between a young lady from Fort Wayne, Indiana, a young man from Albion, Indiana, both with full pulls, and Judy Nipstein coming up first.
Judy sitting on the sled, you notice she had her hands in an out position. That's an indication she will not move until the NTPA official tells her to do so. It's a safety factor. They all know the hookup situation. This is pressure time in the sports. 2 making a pull-off. Ladies go first, but she'll set the distance.
1,000 pounds added to the sled as we take a look at her husband, Lynn, her crew chief.
Boy, that weight caught her quick. You see that weight box come up? Boy, it drilled her. What's going to be the distance, Gary?
Well, Lynn looks on. He wants to know the same thing, Army, as we wait. There it is, 2:11.1. A full pull again is 2:30 here at the Fairgrounds Coliseum. 2:11.1 for Judy Nipstein out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And here is her nemesis tonight, Empty Pockets. And this is Dan Gertie out of Albion, Indiana.
Okay, Judy made it an awfully good run. You're not going to throw anything away on this. She laid it right down the middle. Her husband, Lynn, gave her all the horsepower that she needed. She drifted a little bit, pulled it back in. Now, she's done everything she can do. She has to set and see if Empty Pockets can bump her on the other end of this track. It's a little one-on-one, and I know you folks in Indiana know all about the pressure that comes with one-on-one.
Now you're talking basketballs. We look at Dan Gertie out of Albion, Indiana, the Empty Pockets. Once again, he is using 3 Hemis. And there is Judy. She looks on. She has done all she can do. It's up to Dan right there. There's Alvin, his brother, his crew chief. That's a pretty straight run.
Weight comes up on the sled. She did it.
Judy has won it. Judy is well aware that she has won it. Look at the jubilation as Judy Nipstein now realizes she has won the 7,200-pound class for modified tractors here at the Indy Super Bowl. There's the distance for Dan, 199.3. We take a look again. Here comes Empty Pockets.
Well, Dan made it, again, a good run. Nothing. You're not going to have any excuses on this at all. This was just her night to take the win. And in this sport, the Indy Super Bowl win, Gary, is something to brag about for the whole year.
Tonight, the 4 Chevys were better than the 3 Hemis. Here's your winner.
Well, Gary, we've both seen a lot of winners in our life, but I don't think I've ever seen any more of emotion shown in an event. It's just amazing. Congratulations is not good enough. You've worked hard to get here. We remember when you started in a class. Now you're #1. Congratulations.
Thank you, and it feels good, let me tell you. And I want to say that I want to thank my family. I have 2 daughters that are my pit crew, Jody and Angie, and they work very hard. Especially my husband, Lynn. He works especially hard. And I would like to say something. I promised if I got here, I would tell Cindy Roser she's my hairdresser. And only my hairdresser knows. It's kind of a private joke, but it got me here. She said I was going to win and this was going to happen, and I am so glad. Lots of friends here, and it's just great.
Well, this has been an emotional evening, and, you know, what can you say? The young lady won. She can say anything she darn well pleases. We're awfully proud of her, too.
My husband, my mechanic, he does all the hard work. I just get the fun.
In all of my years of motorsports, I've never heard someone thank their hairdresser. Judy Nipstein wins the final pull-off this evening at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Our congratulations to Judy, her husband, Lynn. That will wrap it up. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next week for another edition of Trucks and Tractor Power.